I think the things that I'm always thankful for is my family, my wife and kids, the guys that are part of this program, the coaches, the players, Penn State community. So, blessed in a lot of ways. And, we're fortunate here because although the job is demanding, we try to do a pretty good job of balancing it all. Kids, and you see Coach Moorhead's son at practice today. My daughter's coming to practice. Kids coming by, the office throughout the day. Coach Gaddis' son's over there, Jace. So we do a pretty good job of balancing because they can get out of whack. But thankful for those things.
You said before that you obviously try to keep the same routine every week. You got back late from Rutgers, and obviously with Thanksgiving tomorrow. How different is this week compared to the others this season, and how much do you have to adjust?
Yeah, it's very different. I don't really like it, to be honest with you. I like the Thanksgiving holiday and what it represents and the turkey, but I don't really love the change of routine. So we try to structure it as much as we possibly can, but it's just different. There's no doubt about it. It's different. It affects the coaches probably more so than the players. Coach Ronnie brought up earlier in the week, which I thought was a good point, is we were making all these adjustments based on the players getting back at 4 o'clock in the morning. But we play a home game on Saturday night. They're probably not going to bed before 4 o'clock anyway. So it's no different for them. The coaches, it is. But then we bump everything back on Sunday to give everybody a little bit more time to rest. But then the whole rest of the week, everything was moved up. Last night I had my coach's show, so practice had to be up an hour earlier than it normally is. That cuts out of game preparation time. And then, again, Tuesday's usually a big game plan day for us, and I'm at the coach's show. And then Thursday, we usually have all day to clean some things up, and we'll go Thursday morning. I think we're starting tomorrow morning at like 6:30, so you lose that day. So it is different, Thankfully, Michigan State and most schools around the country are dealing with the same thing. The one thing that's a little bit different for us is, again, not getting back here. I think I got pulled in my driveway. I think it was 5:15 in the morning on Sunday. So night games on the road are not ideal right before Thanksgiving.
James, 18 guys of their first start this year, which is a stunning number. Is that a form and function? Probably best example of injuries and youth combined?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of those things. We've had a lot of injuries, as you guys all know, has been documented, and we were young, so kind of a perfect storm from that standpoint. But again, I think the coaches have been, done a great job of handling those things. I think the players have been resilient. I think we've had really good leadership from guys even when they were out and injured. So I think it's a combination of those two things. I don't know if you'll see something like that again where you have both of those scenarios. We're such a young team, one of the younger teams in the country, and I would say that we're probably when it comes to adversity, when it comes to injuries, we're probably in the upper half of the teams in the country in terms of the number of injuries we've managed.
There's got to be a silver lining to that, right? For ahead.
Yeah, I think the positive for it, obviously, just like at linebackers, it was brutal when we were going through it at the time. But once we were able to get through it, it created depth by necessity. I think the same thing is going to happen with the offensive line over time. I think it's, obviously looking forward, which I don't like to do a whole lot during the season, but it's going to help us in the long run there as well.
Explosive plays, obviously the sexier side of offense, but it seems like there's a lot of little things, receivers blocking down the field better this year, that have led to a lot of that success. How important has that been this year, kind of having the success that you've had in these things?
Yeah, I think I think Saquon is an explosive play waiting to happen in general, but I also think his impact in the running game has obviously helped with the play action pass. I think the experience that we have at wide receiver and the explosiveness that we have at wide receiver obviously adds to that. And then I think obviously the mobility we have at quarterback. I don't think it's one thing. I think it's a combination of all those things. And then I think the other thing that factors into it that we have right now is confidence. Our guys are confident that someone is going to make a big play on every drive, or at least someone's going to make a big play in every game. So I think combination of all those things have really factored in.
And you've talked a lot about talking to the team about not making this weekend bigger than it is. Do you guys as a staff, because I think depending on how you gauge it, this might be the highest stakes game that you guys have coached in. Do at the same time battle not overthinking everything and staying in your own routine internally?
No, to be honest with you, I don't think the coaches, at least I don't feel that way, and we don't talk about it. I mean, yeah, when I say we don't talk about it, we've addressed it with the team, but we don't harp on it. When I say we don't talk about it, it's probably not fair. We don't harp on it over and over every single day. And the same thing as the staff. You know, I go around the room, you know, and I said, you know, how long have you been doing it? 35 years. How long have you been doing it? 30 years. How long have you been doing it? 23 years, and so on and so forth. So people understand, you know, how many 10-win seasons have the coaches had, you know, on the staff, and you know, so yeah, so I think there's an awareness, and we discuss it, but we're not harping on it. You know, once we've kind of discussed, everybody's aware, and then we get back to our routine. It's the same thing with the players. We talked about some of the stuff going on in this game. We talked about 2 days ago about, you know, the game that's going to happen at 12 o'clock right before our game, and not allowing the however that game turns out affecting us emotionally one way or the other, positively or negatively. So, you know, we address these things. We just don't harp on it is probably the better way to say it.
Have you guys decided if you'll have that game on in the stadium? You had mentioned that.
I know we talked before the season that the administration wanted to do more of that to try to get the crowds in. Early in the week, I did not want it on, but then I kind of addressed it with the team. I usually have my weekly meeting with Phil Eston on Thursday, and we usually discuss those things. So early in the week, I was against it, you know. But now that we've kind of addressed it, you know, I'm probably a little bit more open to it. But I still think it's going to be a distraction during warm up. You know, so my gut would be, you know, I prefer not. I prefer to hand out mini TVs to everybody that comes in the stadium as a bonus, you know, to get them there and then not put them on the jumbotron.
You mentioned that.
You think Sandy will go for that?
Yeah, there you go. You kind of onto the meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned having a mobile quarterback. How much is the new offense and having a mobile quarterback helped when you guys had issues on the O-line?
I think significantly. I think you can run this offense with a less mobile quarterback, but for you to be as explosive as you want to be, and to have an extra dimension and give the defense something else to worry about, I think it's much more effective. That's our model. Has always been, you know, even in the old system, to be honest with you, we always wanted mobility to quarterback. I've been in a situation where we've had them and haven't had them. And that was kind of the interesting narrative that was talked about, you know, the first 2 years about the fit. Well, if you really do the study and you look at the quarterbacks that I had at Maryland, you look at the quarterbacks that I had at Kansas State, you look at the quarterbacks I had at Vanderbilt, that narrative really doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But, you know, I think whenever you can have mobility at the quarterback position, it helps. And I think you're exactly right. I think it's helped with our offensive line, our growing, maturing offensive line, and then with the injuries that we've had, you know, where maybe in years past, a tackle gets beat and he gives up a sack, that has an effect on that kid's confidence. Where now, that same play may occur, and Trace able to step up the pocket and go run for 12 yards, and the kid did the same exact thing, but the play did not result the same way. And it doesn't carry the same type of effect. It doesn't crush that kid's confidence. So I don't think there's any doubt that, you know, it's been beneficial and it's helped.
Two more.
Bringing up confidence, how do you feel like the confidence in this team has evolved from last year? How does that play into the success you've had this year?
Yeah, I think, you know, I think the Minnesota game, I remember going into the press conference after the game and you know, and I was talking about how I thought that was a significant win for us. And I remember back, and I don't know if I mentioned these guys before, I remember back in Vanderbilt, you know, we found a way to win a game against UConn under different circumstances. You know, that program hadn't won a whole lot, you know, before we got there. And that win kind of catapulted the team in terms of confidence and belief in what we were doing and how we were doing it. And I think you know, I think the Minnesota game, we all see they're a good football team. You know? And we found a way to get that win, and then found the next week to get another win, and it's just kind of grown from there. So there's collective confidence, which I think we have right now, but I also think we have individual confidence at a lot of positions with a lot of players. There's still some young players that are still growing in their confidence and things like that, but I think you could go through our team and the coaches would, you know, say that I think this guy really believes that he belongs playing in the Big Ten right now and is going to play well enough for us to be successful. I think you can say that in a lot of positions, and I think you can say that on offense, defense, special teams, and our team. So I think there is a lot of confidence right now in a lot of different areas, where I think in years past, it was probably more dips and valleys. There was guys with a lot of confidence, there was guys that were still trying to gain confidence, where now we're kind of more consistent, where it wavers a little bit.
James, on your first day being hired at Penn State, you took the press conference days and you said that you were going to, bring Penn State back to where it belongs. Now, I know the job's not over yet, obviously, but Penn State's number 7 for the first time since they headed to the Rose Bowl. I'm just kind of curious, how do you get from point A to point B? Is there one central theme or one overriding characteristic that's allowed Penn State to kind of rise so quickly?
We're not there. We still have a long ways to go. I think we've done some nice things, and I'm pleased with the progress, but we still have a long ways to go. I could give you guys a list of 25 things that I think we still need to do to get where we want to be, but we're heading that direction. I think the biggest thing is, coming here, it's not like I was a first-time coach. It's not like our staff was the first time being together. So we had a plan. And we believed in the plan. It was detailed, it was thorough, and it was organized. And it wasn't like we were just trying to take a plan from school X and bring it to school Z. We had modified it to Penn State. We believed in it. And although there was rough patches and it was tough times and things like that, we stuck to the plan. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, is we stuck to the plan. We kept getting better every single day. We didn't focus on the past. We didn't focus on the present. We didn't focus on the future. We focused on the present. And we just kind of kept grinding through it. To me, it's no different than anything else in life. You just keep working hard, you keep a good attitude, you have a thorough plan that makes sense for the organization or corporation or school that you're at, and you stick with it. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that we did, is that I think a lot of times when you're in those situations, a lot of people start second guessing themselves or start to modify the plan and change the plan. We didn't really do that. I know people say, well, the offense has changed. I don't think that's as significant as people think. It's the overall. Joe has done a great job for us. Trace and Saquon and our entire offense have done a great job for us. But really, in the big picture, we're still playing philosophically how we want to play. We're just doing it with a new. We're using a different way of getting to the same spot. If that makes sense.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.